Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm going to start with reading Matthew chapter 7 verse 6, saying, "Do not give what is holy to the dogs, nor cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn and tear you in pieces." Now, today's topic is to not constantly preach the gospel to those who completely refuse to hear it, and do not help people who take advantage of your kindness. With the first part of it, unless God is moving you and telling you to talk to this certain person or that certain group of people about the gospel, unless God is leading you to do it again and again, don't. Because if they're completely refusing to hear it, you constantly repeating it is not going to make them want to listen. Rather than they'll go in the opposite direction, because then you'll make them feel like you're trying to peer pressure them and becoming Christians, or doing things that Christians are supposed to do. So unless God is telling you to keep saying it, don't. Just say what you need to say, and then allow the Lord to do his part in helping them come to him or come closer to him. Because our part is just to say a message, to plant a seed. God is the one who waters it. God is the one that makes it grow. The Holy Spirit is the one that has to do the work in helping the person either come to Christ or get closer to Christ and grow. So that's what I want to say on that. But I want to mainly talk about the second thing, which is to not help those who just take advantage. Yes, as Christians, we are to help other people within our means if we can. If we're able to help donate food or donate money, or maybe help somebody move from one house to another, or maybe help someone with their homework or clean their room, if we're able to do so, there's nothing wrong in wanting to help other people, but it should never get to a point to where you're constantly helping one certain person, or maybe a group of people who just take advantage of you. It should never get to the point to where the person you're helping just takes advantage of you and they never do what they got to do to, make things better for themselves. There is a quote by the channel called Bible Haven, and it's said in their video called "God's Warning: 7 Types of People You Must Not Help." Again, it is God's Warning: 7 Types of People You Must Not Help by Bible Haven. And the quote is this: "Helping isn't holy when it drains you and enables them." Sometimes when you constantly help someone who refuses to do their part in drawing closer to the Lord or making their own lives better, we're enabling them to stay in their bad behavior. Say, for example, let's say you're trying to help someone that's a drug addict, and you take them to the rehab. You've tried reading the gospel, you've given them food, you've done everything you possibly could to help them, but that person completely refuses to change. And now it's gotten to the point to where the person, just has their hand out and they ask you to do anything and everything for them, and they never do anything different because they know that you're going to give them what they want. It should never ever be that point. We are all limited in what we can do. Yes, God can give us more, but sometimes he doesn't, because the main point of helping others is to give God the glory. And if the glory is going toward us, that could be when God limits us. Like, for example, when God moved Gideon in the army of Israel to deliver Israel from the Midianites, God took away most of the army of Israel. He took out many people that were in the army of Israel because and the specific reason was because he did not want Israel to gloat and say, "Oh, we did this. We're the reason why Israel got the victory over the Midianites." So God limited the army down just to 300. So Israel and the Midianites know that he was why Israel won. And also, just real quick, I personally don't really like some Christian YouTubers that pretty much broadcast themselves doing good deeds for other people, rather it's them giving something to somebody or praying. I think it very much goes against what Jesus Christ said when he said to not let the right hand know what the left is doing, or to, uh, you know, basically there's scriptures where Jesus is saying to not draw attention to yourself when you're doing something for another person. Because again, the glory is supposed to go to God, and plus, you got to think, say you did help somebody, but now they're seeing you broadcasting them online for everyone to see. You may make that person feel, wait, he or she didn't do that for me. They just did it to use me for clout. They just used me to get attention. They just used me to make themselves look good, so to speak. And that can very much put them in a place that just makes them feel like, wow, nobody really cares about me. And you definitely don't want to do that. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that all these YouTubers are doing those things for selfish reasons. I mean, maybe they're doing it to encourage other Christians to go out and do those things as well. But the thing is, they can encourage other Christians just by saying that they should, and give the scriptures to talk about why, instead of, I just personally don't think they should record themselves doing it or talk about it rather than just say, hey, I mean, plus God says that if we don't broadcast ourselves, he will talk about what they've done in some way. He will find someone else that will say, hey, look what this person did for that person. You know what I'm saying? In other words, God will shine the light on that and give a little glory to them for that. But we're not supposed to broadcast it ourselves. Because again, it does two things. It takes the glory away from God, and it can also, take away from that person that you helped. It could take hope away from that person. And that's something that we shouldn't do. I got two examples on my own that I want to talk about, but before I do, I want to read these scriptures first. First one being Proverbs 19:19. A man of great wrath will suffer punishment, for if you rescue him, you will have to do it again. Proverbs 10:4. Lazy hands make a man poor, but diligent hands bring wealth. 2 Thessalonians 3:10. For even when we were with you, we commanded you this: if anyone will not work, neither shall he eat. You could also read James 1, verse 5 and 27, Matthew 25, verses 14 to 30, 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 to 5, Luke 17, verses 11 to 19, which talks about entitlement blinded to grace. And a fine example of that is in Exodus chapter 16 and 17, where the first generation of people of Israel that escaped from Egypt, they constantly tested the Holy Spirit because they were not grateful for all things He's done for them. And because they were blinded to the grace that God was giving them, they were denied access to the promised land. Let's see. Yeah, that was the final one. Exodus 16 to 17. And also, real quick, I want to mention 2 articles so you should maybe look into. But there's also a YouTube video talking about this subject as well. Like I said, I already told you about the first one. But there are some Christian YouTube channels talking about the types of people that you should not help and the reasons why. But the articles that I want to mention, the first one being by Restore to Freedom, with the article titled, Beware of Helping These Types of People. And the list is Perpetual Victim, the Know-It-All, Chronic Complainer, Manipulator, the Enabler, Narcissist, and the Opportunist. The second article was written by Gabriel Ajak, and it's titled 3 Types of People You Must Not Help. I suggest you look into those, because again, we can only do so much for people, and sometimes we choose to keep giving and giving and giving to a certain person or maybe a group of people, even though they never change, even though they never appreciate it or anything. We constantly do it over and over again in the hope that that person or that group of people will change. And you may be right. Maybe that person or those people will change, but their change should not come at your expense. You shouldn't have to be drained in order for them to change. And plus, you cannot change them. Only God can do that. And sometimes He tells us to take a step back. Sometimes we're standing in His way. When we are helping